Back to one of our top stories. The latest Victims of Crime survey by Statistics South Africa provides a sobering, data-driven window into the true state of safety in the country. Unlike official police crime statistics that record reported incidents, this survey captures the lived experiences of ordinary households, measuring the dark figure of crime, the offences that go unreported to authorities. The report delves beyond mere statistics, revealing profound insights into the public's perception of safety, their confidence in law enforcement, and the complex social and economic impact of crime on communities. Let's talk about this now with senior lecturer at Unisa's Department of Police Practice, and that's Dr. Mpho Matlala. A very good afternoon to you, Dr. Matlala. Thanks very much for your time. It's interesting that the statistician general was saying that housebreaking incidents, which top the list, have decreased slightly during the financial year compared to the previous financial year. But at the same time, he also said that many South Africans don't even feel the need to actually go and report housebreaking in particular, which then tells us that, perhaps even with the perceptions, there's a lot of under or to no reporting of these crimes.
Good afternoon, Vuyo, and good afternoon to the listeners. Indeed, it is a little bit encouraging to see that there is a decrease when you look year on year for the past 5 financial years. But the problem with these decreases, they would be rather insignificant, especially to victims of crime, those that have experienced a crime firsthand, because a person's home is supposed to be a sanctuary, a fortress. So even if we decrease those crimes or any type of crime to 1% or 0.1%, it is 0.1 too many. And of course, in many of the crimes, for example, sexual offenses, you would always find that dark figure as a result of under-reporting as one of the examples. And that is an indication of the deficit, the trust deficit that people have in the entire criminal justice system, that is your police, prosecutions and our courts in general. But the dark figure or the underreporting really is not only as a result of that trust deficit. There are issues of coercion where, for example, in sexual offenses, some people will be dissuaded by family members not to report these offenses. In some instances, people will be protecting marriages. In some instances, there would be an issue of dependency, people who would go out and violate another person, and that person cannot report them because this person is fully dependent on them in terms of maintenance, and they're afraid to lose that livelihood provided by that dependence. And of course, you have cultural biases. Things like Mosadi we tshwara ka mo bogaleng, is one example of those cultural biases that makes sexual offenses not to be reported, and religious biases and feelings of shame and avoiding to being judged by society or being placed in a state of pariah or isolation.
Do we have, there were conversations this past weekend and they've continued. We've just seen a briefing now we're listening to a briefing now by the Secretary General of the ANC, the leading party in the Government of National Unity. The reason I'm asking whether there is leadership where it matters, it's because everyone knows where the problems are. Naledi Pandor at the weekend, who is a former cabinet minister, was saying we know who the Tsotsis are. The Secretary General of the ANC just now was talking about how they are going to choose only ethical cadres to deploy to local government. We're sitting here, we're talking, the Minister of Justice was talking earlier about the Commission of Inquiry that's going to look into, the entire justice system. Essentially, problems that have been highlighted by one General Mkhwanazi. And yet, today, we're talking about the suspension of two of the most senior officials in the Department of Justice who, it's being suspected or alleged, are responsible for the delays even before this inquiry starts. All of this read together suggests that we do not have what it takes or the leadership we require in this country to deal with the rampant crime that the Statistician General was talking about today.
Vuyo, let me start with the issue of us knowing who the criminals are. They are our sisters, our brothers, our cousins, our aunts. They are in our households. And at a societal level, we have a problem because we often don't question when an unemployed person comes home driving a car or bearing expensive gifts or even food when this person is unemployed. So I don't want to dwell much on the issue of the responsibilities of society in terms of dealing with crime. But yes, indeed, we do have a leadership problem. And I will not go into the management brain drain within the criminal justice system and issues like that. But I will use this very report, this very survey as an example. The Statistician General has released this report with statistics, but you will not find police leadership engaging with this report and crafting strategies that are informed by this report. In other words, the approach is flawed because it's non-empirical, it is not scientific. With our criminal justice system, statistics are there, they're descriptive, they give us a nice picture of whether the trends are going up or down. But in terms of formulating targeted strategies that are informed by empirical evidence, such as this report, that is where we are lacking. And of course, we can have all the commissions that we want, but if we do not face the reality that in addition to professionalizing our police and reskilling the management, including cutting down, because most of these organizations, like the police, the management, they are top heavy, and without really targeting specific scientifically driven skills that will assist law enforcement, then we will keep on identifying the problems and we will keep on wondering why is it that we are able to identify problems but we are not able to solve them.
But why, just as the last point, Dr. Matlala, why is it that our police or the people in charge aren't planning or strategizing in line with what these kinds of reports are telling us? Because every time there would come a report, people like you identify this problem that the strategies that police employ don't speak to these kinds of reports. Over the past couple of weeks, members of community policing fora in the Western Cape have been saying that what we're seeing in the Western Cape, the signs have been there for a very long time, The provincial commissioner there says there is a plan in place, but that plan is clearly not working. What are we missing, or what's missing here? Where lies the problems? Why are these men and women responsible for policing, in particular in this country, not looking at these kinds of reports and plan accordingly? And whose job is it to make them do that, which they're clearly not doing?
Yeah. For your, I think by and large, recruitment, the types of candidates that are being recruited to the top echelons of police management is problematic. The criteria is as such that you most probably will get generals with national diplomas or honors degrees or undergraduate degrees at the very least. And to be able to interpret a report or to synthesize a report such as this one, you probably will need to have higher than an honors degree, probably a master's or a doctoral degree. And really, you cannot expect a person who is not trained, for example, in synthesizing or drawing inferences or making deductions or inductions from a statistical report, to be able to can meaningfully engage with this kind of report. This is it's high level, and it's outside of the skill sets of the police, which is where the police in their recruitment, they will need to have statisticians, they will need to employ statisticians and researchers of their own. The SAPS, for example, or any other law enforcement agency, be it Metro Police, it's not, these are not, they are information intensive, and yet they are not research driven. And this is why you will have reports like this coming out, and nobody's even thinking of modernizing, dealing with change management in terms of modernizing and bringing in a number of technologies that are available in the markets, with the result that our approach to policing has remained in 1994 when the country has moved forward. It is not consistent with the policing needs in the democratic state of South Africa. So the lack of skills, adequate skills, there are skills, but there are areas where there are no adequate skills. That is what the issue is, my good sir.
Dr. Mpho Matlala, thank you very much for your time. Senior Lecturer at Unisa's Department of Police Practice.